for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh and Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friends are going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
Hey! Welcome everybody to The Dorkening, to Still Toking with, to Hellfire Radio, and Twisted RootZ, Ganja Gospel. All the links are below. This is Twisted RootZ. I'm Amber Lilana. Cheers for everybody watching everywhere else, I mean.
Yes.
So we are chatting it up today as we go through some Book of Og. We have 2 chapters to do today, chapter 6 and chapter 7, I believe.
So check this out.
So what?
Remember we're reading about Nimrod, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, who the fuck is Nimrod? I'm like, Nimrod's someone else. I'm like, it's not Noah. I'm like, who the fuck was Nimrod? Because Nimrod supposedly was somebody else, right? So I was reading this other stuff, and Nimrod is Gilgamesh.
Ha!
Nimrod's Gilgamesh.
Right.
Yes.
Interesting. Very interesting. So those of you who are just joining in, those of you who are all on the other networks chiming in, we dig into the ancient past and figure out the real truth, discussion, reading, and all while smoking that lovely ganja. So open your minds, fill the pews, light your offering, share out the love and the truth, because we are in it to win it.
Yes, and we'll be deep in discussion with this Gilgamesh character because, I'm under the impression that he went in the underworld, he went into inner earth to go find his peace. Remember, he was
trying to find the everlasting life.
And he found Noah,
who had it at the time.
Yeah, but what do we know about Noah?
What do we know about Noah other than that he lived a very long time?
He survived the flood, right?
Survived the flood.
In a boat, right?
He did. He was the one to survive the flood.
Now, King Og in this story is talking about how he ripped Gilgamesh to pieces, ripped Nimrod to pieces.
That is true.
So how if Gilgamesh got ripped to pieces here, did he later get an Enkidu and go into inner earth and find Noah?
What if
was it not Noah? Was it someone else?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of names that twist and turn in all the stories that we uncover. Not one person has just one name. So Nimrod and Gilgamesh were probably referred to as the same person in some instances, but also probably completely different people in others, just like Thoth and Ra.
Wouldn't it be amazing though if we found out that like Gilgamesh or one of these characters is like Hercules? You know,
they're gonna be.
We know we got Samson. We know who Samson is now. We got the motherfucker. He chained himself up in the for the Moonchild, chained himself up those pillars and brought those pillars down and killed all the what? Philistines. Yes, he did. After they cut his hair, and then he prayed to his God. He said, "Oh my Lord, if you give my ball hair back, I'll crush all these motherfuckers." And then he made his bush grow, so he grew big ass ball hairs, and then he pulled down all those goddamn pillars on top of everybody and shit. You know, so that's your Samson story in your Bible. Although, of course, it was just a little bit different. You know, I think like what they did was they took all these stories. They're let's go to our fucking hash bar. They got hash, opium, and lots of wine and fine oil at these bars, right? So I think they took all these stories in there, and then they read them all, and then they fantasized about them. You know how like playwrights got to do the same shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or movie makers, they take someone's play or someone's written piece, and they have to make it to fit into a movie. You got to get it all. You got to get the good spots, and you know you got to cut out so much out of a book from a movie. So what if it was like that? You know, what if they were like, "Hey man, look at this motherfucker's over here. Yeah, let's write that in like that. Oh yeah, let's get."
I mean, really,
look at this guy. Let's say he's that guy. Fuck it.
Realistically, there's probably a whole lot of moving parts and different parts that were absolutely melded together and mushed together. Because let's think about the game of telephone for one.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we played telephone as a child and come up with something completely different than the original fucking thing was? Like, who's to say that this is not the case? And many of the things that have been written by men.
Yeah. And when you really look into a lot of these different things, like artists, writers, different people like that, most of them had some kind of a serious mental illness. Some of them were mentally handicapped. Some of them were blind, deaf, or dumb. Some of them were like, you know what I'm saying? They weren't, they like were addicted to something to where their mental focus wasn't always pristine. As if you were to put them through psychiatric evaluation, they would fail. You know what I'm saying? In today's standards. But these are the people who wrote these books. Mm-hmm. It's like, what the fuck?
And we're absolutely accepting of that person who he was back in the day.
Yep. Just like Christopher Columbus. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's dogging on Christopher Columbus. I'm like, he's just a dude who came over and discovered the Indies, the West Indies and shit. Like, he didn't even discover America. And it was all backed by the crown. Both crowns, Spanish and English. So it's like, you're killing the messenger for something that his crown told him to do. So that would be like if the military came in and started fucking shit up. Well, their president told them to. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're just tools for another purpose from a master. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Cheers, Creekwater. Cheers, Popcorn. Cheers, Annie.
Cheers,
how's everybody? If you are joining us from any other platform, if you would like to discuss, we are in TwizTD RootZ on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we'd love to see you here to discuss. Not to pull you away from the network by any means, but those of you in TwizTD RootZ, we'd love for you to share the love on the network.
And tell
all
us
the links are below.
Tell us what you think.
That's what we want to
know.
How
do you think,
comment?
How do you think it went down? Are you into any of these old Sumerian tablets, or are you guys just straight Bible thumpers and whatever it says in the Bible is the only thing that ever happened and nothing ever happened? But then I'll tell you, in the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." Then he also said there was giants in those days and after. So after the day that gods walked this world, there was giants still walking on the land. We have pictures, you know, from like 1800s and stuff like that of these still giants today. You know, they're pretty damn extinct now. You know, people are 7-8 foot tall max,
or at least endangered, because the ones that they're hidden, you know.
I mean, in our society.
Okay.
The ones that were amongst our society.
Right.
So there was this war went down, right? This war went down here. And, you know, some of those giants survived. So there was the line of Cain and the line of Seth, right? That's who was fighting this war right here. Those two sides. And there wasn't any other sides. There was those two sides of people. Okay. Now there were smaller selves. There were giants known as the Raphaim. There were Nephilim, which you guys know are the fallen angels, or the lower born Igigi, Anunnaki. They were called Igigi. And there were also Anunnaki there, right? But you wouldn't know them as Anunnaki. They are only calling them Nephilim. You know what I'm saying? The Raphaim are their offspring, right? So both sides had Nephilims. Both sides had Raphaims. The Raphaims are what we call today demigods, the men of renown, the men of old, which would be Samson, Goliath, Hercules, Achilles, like all the people, you know, Odysseus, like those are all giants, you know, all the people from the Troy battle, like all that shit, you know what I'm saying? These are all these people. And you might think, oh, that was the wrong time. Well, when do you think Adam lived and died? You know, Adam and Eve. Because Adam lived almost all the way up to the fucking flood. Like, that was a long time. 54,000 years, dude. He lived almost to the time of Jesus in them. I mean, dude, he saw the pyramids. He named the pyramids. And remember, he walked around and named everything. So, you know, when they talk about people living a time, you know, we always think they live a normal time of our age. Or we think back then there was probably more disease. So maybe they lived to 30 or 40 or 50. The more you dig, the more you find out that their lifespans were super duper long. And then when it came down to us, our smaller self people, right, full of disease, you know, sex went on all over this world and bred STDs. They did not exist in the beginning, right? It was from all the different sex. You got to think, man, these people are fucking animals and everything. It's not a lie.
We joke about it now, but
yeah, we joke about it. Even we joke about the whole incest thing, but this was the way of life. There was no like, oh, you banged your sister. Oh my God, you should be ashamed of yourself. You need to go repent. Oh, what if you have a kid? It was like, oh, I hope you have a boy. Oh, it's going to be the king.
It's about pure bloodlines and purity. Think Harry Potter, like, you know, when it comes to purity.
Think any King movie you've ever seen. They run that way today. They want their bloodline pure. That's why you don't fuck with a muggle. You're a mudblood. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna wash out the blood. That baby is gonna now, instead of being 2/3 God, it's gonna be 1/3 God. You know, 1/3 Anunnaki. Instead 2/3, like we're all 1/3. We're all just a piece of crap fucking version of it. We're all broken and shit, all disconnected, right? But the people who had heaven passed down, kingship passed down to them, they are more God than us. That means they are easily able to activate whatever powers they
can tap in.
They're there. You know, us, we have problems doing that. We struggle. We have to be connected. We have to break free of this, break free of that to be able to open up, you know? So imagine if you're like 2/3 God, and I feel it. I know it. I already know I'm better than the human. I'm not better than you. I'm better than the last creation because, you know, our creator made me better than you. That's what they are. So why would you want your next fucking heir to the throne to be a normal person? Hell, I wouldn't. If I was up there, you know, you wouldn't either. But that's where it got to be. And so we got this war going on with all these half gods, normal gods, 2/3 gods, normal people. I don't know how normal people now. They weren't
fighting right along with them.
They weren't 6 foot tall. Trust me, they were 8, 9, 10 feet tall. When they say smaller cells, they're giants, bro. They're giants
Comparatively to us.
When they're smaller cells, that just means we were smaller. We weren't 6 foot tall. I guarantee if you put me in the old world, I would be the smallest dude around. They would probably think I was a woman or a child. They'd be like, what the fuck are you? You know, these were big, tall people. Even in the times of like David and Goliath, you know, look at Goliath was what, 19 feet tall or some shit they said, or something like that. He was tall as fucking hell. Some people that try to fit the narrative try to say Goliath was only 9 feet tall. Even at 9 feet tall, that's pretty big. But I don't think a 9 foot tall person could carry 2 axes, each weighing 150 pounds apiece, and swing those in battle.
No, he needed to be taller than
Dude,
that.
he's
He
way
was
bigger
than that. He was bigger than that for sure. Unless he was like stout dwarf like, you know, and had all those muscles like beefy.
You know. So it's interesting to look at this war and see what happens. Now we're getting through the war pretty much. I believe if you guys remember, she read really fast last time.
I'm sorry, I was.
And we breezed through that without really being able to paint the picture of the battle scene. You know, because when I listened to it, I could picture this whole battle going down, the water rising up. They had to make flotillas eventually, and the people, like my size people, had to start floating out there and shit. And chopping at their knees. They kept chopping at their dicks, always chopping at their dicks. That's the first thing they went for, is they went to swing for the cock. And once they could chop the dick off, they're like, all right, let's kill him now. We fixed the problem.
That was like their power.
That was the whole war.
Yeah.
Was because they circumcised themselves. And they're like, why are you circumcised? No, they're trying to be better than us. No, fuck that. And the whole line of Cain did not circumcise themselves. They also practiced bloodletting. They ate the males, the smaller self males. The females became sorceress, priest, witches, okay, and made to learn magic and face painting and all kinds of different shit that you would think about in the ball. They did not circumcise themselves. And they took on baby sacrifice and baby eating. That was the end up being their favorite thing. Because think about it, like the men were probably getting real scarce. They needed a whole bunch for their army, so they'd find little ones here or there they could eat. But it was like far and few between, I'm sure, over time. So it's like they went to the babies. Like, all right, we're gonna get a breeding project going on here. Now on the other side, we had the line of Seth, where Jesus came from, and David, and you know, all these fucking kings from there. They were slaves turned kings, right? All those dudes, that whole line is standing over there. Not Jesus and all them, because it didn't happen yet. But the line is over there. The line of Noah, right? So they're all back there. They're fighting. That's the line of Seth. They got all the Anunnaki behind them, all the non-fallen angels. The fallen angels were on Cain's side, right? The non-fallen angels were over there. They're still the same exact race of people, except just like cops and robbers. They're still human. One's just the bad guy in your eyes. You know what I'm saying? To the robbers are fucking heroes. You know, poor people getting that loot, they're the heroes. Not to the cops, though. It's the same thing. There's always a good, there's always an evil, depending on who wrote the story, who's telling the story. Now, if I was Lord Enki and anyone on his side telling the story, I would tell how we tried to make the working easier for our people. And we created a lower version of ourselves. We think of it as a tool. it worked out fucking great. My fucking brother and his people thought it was a terrible idea, but lo and behold, we're getting that gold. They're living like kings. Everyone's fucking great. Oh, all of a sudden, now they don't want our helpers on Mars to ever come down to Earth and share in what we get. That's some bullshit, man. That's straight bullshit. Oh, well, fuck. See what happens when you don't let people do what they want? Here they are. They landed. Oh, they're taking all the women. Oh, fuck. There you go. Take your women and run. Yeah, okay, cool. Oh, fuck. Now giants. They got giants. Oh, fuck. Run, people. Run. They're going to eat you. You know, I'm as big as the giant, though. I'll beat the hell out of those giants and shit. I got magic and shit. They got magic, too. Taught to them by their dads and shit. But, yo, I'm more powerful because, remember, their dads are lowborn. I'm highborn. You know what I'm saying? My people are highborn, you know? So then we're going to come down to the flood. And then, you know, my brother's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. Like, if I'm Lord Enki, like, they're all the bad guy. They drop bombs and destroyed the planet. They fucking let a flood happen. The flood was unpreventable, right? The flood was unpreventable. But they could have taken people up in their spaceships. They got spaceships. They could loaded all kinds of motherfuckers up. Took them up in the air.
The loss of life was preventable.
Exactly. If I'm talking about, if I'm Lord Enki looking at the story, like, man, my brother's bad as shit. There's bad people. Like, first of all, fuck the humans. That was just our tool. They literally fucked up everything we had going on here. The whole shit that we all put together. I started it. We all put it together, though. Look at what the fuck he fucked up. That's how I tell the story. I tell it totally like, dude, okay, a flood was unpreventable, but look what you did. You fucking killed everybody. Everybody. Now we got to start all the way over again. And now, now you don't like what we're doing over here? Now you're going to drop nukes on us? Dude, what the fuck? See what I'm saying? It's like the never-ending shit show. So now we're through the war.
We are. And I just had an idea. If this book is almost done, we got 2 chapters and then it goes into the book of Enoch, I think, or something like that. Yeah, the book of Enoch, and then it keeps going from there. But what we could do is do one Sunday on reading and stopping, going over and like really graphitizing. That's not a word. I just made it up.
Well, what
1,000 giant war.
What it is, though, if you read it slower, then I don't have to explain anything because this book, this book describes what is happening, like to the T.
Yeah.
You just, if you read it so fast, though, like we went through the book and now now the flood's already done and they're in the mountains. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you read it slower and not going blah, 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 like, do you understand it at all? Do you understand every single thing that happened?
Well,
could I quiz you on it?
Do you want me to reread it?
No, because you don't like to do that. But what I'm saying, all I'm saying though, is if you read it slower, we're not speed reading here.
I understand.
Okay, but
I understand that. I'm sorry, I read it fast.
You understood that you read it fast though in the beginning. You said, "Yeah, I did read it fast." So that's what I'm saying. We don't need to do it again and stop. You just have to read it clear enough and slow enough that people can grasp it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. He keeps ripping.
Sorry.
I know you keep snatching it.
I forgot it was stuck to your finger.
What up, Tom Rock? And I'm going to trim some weed. Weed trimming. Don't panic. It's organic. Amber came home with all kinds of weed shirts. And it's cool. It's pretty fun. You know, like when your skin sticks up under your thumbnail. It's so bothersome. Jesus, I mean.
Okay, so we are reading the Lost Book of King Og, chapter 6, the prophecy of Bashan's rule. Like TwizTD was saying, we just finished the 10,000 Giant War. We'll probably revisit that most likely.
What was in the last one?
Sorry.
What was in the last part? Right there at the last paragraph.
Then Ogyas entered the blood pit of the ball of the earth, and Ogyas stepped forward and pulled at the head and skull of Nimrod. This was the last battle of Nimrod.
Mm-hmm.
As King Og pulled at the ankles, and Nimrod's neck gave first, and Ogyas wrenched it free. And as Nimrod's flesh tore, he gave up the ghost and was eaten with worms. And Ogyas and King Og, in celebration, the great dragon of old, the pit and the fire in preparation. So they tore him apart.
Yeah, it tore him apart, and his spirit was released. That's right.
Prophecy of Bashan's rule. Chapter 6, as told by Onzal, the slayer of the smaller selves, before Ball of the Moon. It came to pass that the kingdom and army of Og fasted before their march to Bashan. On the 5th day of fasting, the whole of Og's encampment was covered in smoke, and fire came down. The fire struck the sacrifices in the high places because Ball of the sun and Ball of the earth were there. The ground of the temple and the pass leading to it became charged on the 5th day with the presence of Ball of the earth and Ball of the sun. Many Rephaim attempted to climb the hill at the time of Og's prophecy and were struck dead with fire when they touched the charged ground. On that day in the temple of Ball of the earth, Og received the prophecy. On that day, Og's eyes whitened, and he fell into the solemn forecaster trance. King Og of the temple became Ball of the earth's medium. On that day, Og's voice became as that of iron, so that all that were near were struck by it. Og, king of the Rephaim, survivor of the great waters, killer of Nimrod, and born of the priesthood of Ball of the moon, spoke the words of Ball. Og spoke the prophecy before the march to Bashan, the prophecy of the rules, the wrath of Ball, and the curses upon the barriers of Bashan. Do they not follow as spoken by Og and transcribed by Onzal, the slayer of smaller selves? Ball of the earth agrees with his vessel King Og, proceeding. Honor the high places that worship Ball of the earth. Only the priests will be admitted to the high places. Anyone that has touched the mount or its border, whosoever touches it, as he lives, will surely be sacrificed to Ball of the earth. Before he is burned, he will be stoned and run through with a spear. The testimony of such deaths will be kept in the high places of worship. The high places of worship will be covered with gold inside and out, with a gold crown and a rim or border around the top. Rings will be attached to the outer walls for worship, chains and bracelets. And staves will be put into the rings for the Rephaim to carry the high place to its next resting place in Bashan. Never forget the unspoken mistake.
So where the hell is Bashan at? So if you guys are listening here, right, they had an earth and sun connection, right? They're calling it Ball of the sun, Ball of the earth. So basically those two gods connected. And where that touched the earth was charged, right? You know what that means? It's got an electrical charge. So every time these motherfuckers were trying to climb this hill and go see what was happening or whatnot, they were getting electrocuted and catch on fire, right? So they even said this, hey, if anyone comes and touches this, they'll surely be sacrificed to the Ball of the earth. You know what I'm saying? And just instantly they're going to be killed. He told them they're going to die. So this is pretty fucking interesting that they built this spot on Earth somewhere, right? So they built that before, I believe it says, before they went to the battle, before they marched, something like that. They built this place. So that's pretty fucking dope.
Make idols of Baal. Make them of silver and gold. Make graven images to Baal at the base of the high places. Make graven images of Baal that are of heaven above, or that is in the water that is beneath the earth, or of the earth itself. Inscribe upon them the outer walls of the temple, and upon the sacred swords the runes of Baal. Make an altar in the high places to sacrifice only the smaller self children.
There you go.
Build an altar of hewn stone. Lift the stones with fist or rock. Sacrifice only the lives of the children of the smaller selves on the altar. Eat the burned morsels, and no pollution shall come of it if you fear Baal of the earth.
So you guys look around the earth at those cool altars? They have stone altars. They're fucking huge. Like, we can stand under them as like a Flintstone house. You know what I'm saying? So imagine that's what we're talking about right here. A giant standing there. They put the stones up. They said erect the stones on an altar so you could fucking kill these fucking kids. And now, mind you, they weren't, to a giant that big, a baby would be like the size of this lighter in your hand or something like that. It wasn't like that. The babies were big. You know what I mean? They were bigger. The baby's probably as big as me. You know what I mean? Sitting on this altar getting chopped up to pieces. That's crazy, man. And by the way, if you guys weren't in tune for the 100,000 Giants War, and why I had her read the last paragraph right there, is because there was two sides. One side was Seth's side, right? That was supposed to be where the line of David came from, Jesus, blah, 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 right? What happened? What happened in the 100,000 Giant War? Seth's side lost, right? Seth's side lost. King Nimrod's side lost. He got destroyed. He lost the war. The fucking fallen angels, Lucifer, Azazel, all the fucking giants, right? All the so-called bad people, the line of Cain, they won this war.
If you own a smaller self male and do not eat him for 6 years, then on the 7th he can take a smaller self priestess as a wife. If the smaller self wife bears a male child by him, the male infant is to be sacrificed with fire. If the smaller self wife bears a female child, the female child will be spared to become a sorceress in the high places.
Seventh son, dude. That was seventh son, you hear it?
Mm-hmm. If Baal is to be known, he must first know you. If Baal is to be approached, bring a sacrifice of life worthy of him. If you are to be heard by Baal, you must open your throat and gravel. Worship Baal with debauchery, lust, drunkenness, carousing, and proper idolatry. Listen intently to Baal's moving, large voice. Drink wine and not water to protect your stomach from the illness of polluted sacrificial meat. Eat sacrificial meat with fervor and drink wine lustily. It is for the followers of Baal of the earth to drink wine and to crave strong drink and beer. Drink and forget what the other gods have decreed. Despise the followers of false gods and their rites. For Baal of the earth has approved of what you do. Be wise. Wine is your mocker and beer is your brawler. Pound the drums at the bottom of the hill. Be led by them in the worship of Baal of the earth. Be drunk and immoral as Baal requests. Be so drunk as to not tell between pure and impurity. Be drunken and stubborn for Baal. Drink intoxicating drink fermented in the wilderness. You will control the poison of serpents and the cruel venom of asps in your stupor. Ball of the earth has seen to it. Your drunkenness in the name of Ball of the earth will cover you, and you will do no wrong before him. Gaze into the wine when it is red, and when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. Blessings be to you who get up early to drink and stay up at night to get drunk before Ball of the earth. Linger long at the wine. Go in search of mixed wine. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart will utter perverse things. Let us behave incidentally in the daytime before Ball of the earth, carousing in our drunkenness, in debauchery, and in dissension and jealousy for Ball of the earth.
So literally he says, go out, get beer goggles, and you're going to find ugly ass motherfuckers. They're going to look cute, and you're going to go and do debauchery and fondle with them.
Yes, you will be like the ones that lie down in the midst of the sea. Celebrate as only the uncircumcised of Baal do. Drink the wine, feast upon the sacrificial meat, and be filled with the spirit of Baal of the earth. Baal of the earth, who brings fertility and makes the grass grow for the beasts of old, and plants for the Rephaim to cultivate and bring forth food from the land. Baal, who brings large grapevines that gladden Rephaim hearts with wine. Baal, who brings oil to make Rephaim faces shine, and for the bread that sustains the bellies. Baal of the earth has sworn by his right burning hand, never again will I give your grain as food for your enemies. The rebellious circumcised Rephaim barriers before Bashan will never again drink the new wine, which comes as my blessing upon the land. Never.
So go ahead.
Never forget the unspoken mistake. Go ahead.
So it sounds like in those times, just like we see like Game of Thrones, right? They got a big ass area and they got different spots where they have, real terrible fucking wine. Some places they got real good wine. Some places are famous for their wine. In other places, there's like the mythical shit. Like there's only one dude that makes it. And, just like in Game of Thrones, like they all share their shit. It was like a barter type system, paid and stuff. So this grain went there, this wine went over there. You could get it if you knew someone, kind of thing. It sounds like here, the whole fucking area, whatever they consider the world at that time, right? Because you got to remember, not saying they didn't know about North and South America or Antarctica or anything like that, but you don't know. We don't quite know exactly what position the Earth was. If Antarctica was in a subtropical place, that means the Earth was spun up just a bit, right? So whether it could be this way or that way, like North America was greatly under ice until the flood. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really know too much other land. Like they scoured the whole place, they said. And they were looking all around, and they said it was ice. So what if you take North and South America and flip this globe perfectly to where North and South America is the North? You know what I'm saying? And it's completely under fucking ice, which would make South or Antarctica where North America is, basically, and down to the equator. It would put it in such a perfect position. You know what I mean? And like where they landed and everything like that would be like where America is. It wouldn't be a desert. It would be tropical. It wouldn't be hot as a motherfucking blazing sun like it is now. Just think about the possibilities of, you got to have a globe and kind of twist it and turn it until you can imagine North and South America being under ice. And then after the flood, they went around the globe and found South America full of fucking gold. Like, well, why wasn't it before? That makes no sense unless it was completely iced over.
And they say that the ice not the ice cap, but the iceberg like gashed a hole or put a gash in the earth.
Yep.
It's like, let's think about where there's big gashes in the earth right now. Where could it have been, and where was there gold aplenty? Well, let's think of the gold rush. Let's think of the Grand Canyon.
Yep. Grand Canyon. There's South America, the Grand Canyon. There's a bunch of places North and South America is full of gold. Still to this day. In Michigan, you can find gold everywhere.
Just a lot of things that make you go, Take the name of ball of the earth in vain at regular intervals. It is to be both used as a commandment and a curse for your enemies. Ball of the earth understands the need. Keep your days in remembrance of ball of the earth. Do your work on all days and rest when the job is finished, as the bright ones did not stop work until it was complete.
So there's a new, remember the first testament or whatever, the first rule, the creation was in 7 days. But on that 7th day, Lorenki told all of his people, all of his heroes to rest, right? He was telling all the Anunnaki on that 7th day, you rest, right? Remember, he told the Anunnaki this, okay? Now, here's an Anunnaki talking to humans, going, no, you're going to work every day until the job is done, and then you can rest. But then when do you start again? That's my question. That leaves so many questions. Like 6 days, the 7th day you rest, the next day you go back to work. Like how long do you rest? What if I work for 10 years? I'm going to want at least 5 years off, bro. Like for real. I'm going to want at least 2 years I'm going to want off. And by the time I'm done with the 2 years, I might not want to go back to work again. So you see how they won the war. Okay, they won the war. They wiped these motherfuckers out, right? It doesn't say that, but God of the earth is talking to them, blessing them, saying, all right, go make temples all about me. Sacrifice motherfuckers. If you got men in your shit and you're not eating them, I might eat them. But if you can keep them for 7 years, we'll let them fuck one of our chicks. And then you can make babies and shit and sacrifice their kids. They're setting up a breeding program, you know what I mean? So it's like going down. He's writing the new laws for his new people. And we got to figure out when this is. You know what I'm saying? Because like the flood happened. Remember the flood happened, guys? So your Bible tells us that the flood wiped out the world. Like, if it wiped out the world, who the fuck is Ball of the Earth talking to here? All the people that lived. All the people that they wiped out the line of Seth. They wiped all those motherfuckers out except Noah. They didn't get Noah. Noah was in a boat in a different area. Y'all think it could be Florida. It could be Florida. Or it could just mean hardwoods, and it could be where they said it was. It would be kind of weird that he would make the boat right there, and then the boat floats around in the same spot and then lands right back on the mountain. It's kind of weird to me too. I would think that he had a pilot, a navigator. He had a driver of the boat. So that dude could have been going wherever he wanted to go, really. He could know where to be. He could be looking up at his fucking brothers and sisters like, fuck you guys. He could be giving the finger and shit. And they're like, ha, 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 you got fucked down there with the fucking people. These people survived the flood in the mountains, in the caves, right? They fucking survived. And here's a whole goddamn community of them getting new laws, talking about how to set up your society. Because remember, Seth's people over here live like we do today. They were doing marriage. They cut their penises off. They don't eat people, right? But then, there's all those rumors going around about how people do these sacrifices now and worship these old gods like Ball of the Earth, Baphomet. That's Baphomet is who we're talking about right here. It's a big giant bull that eats people. Go ahead, baby.
So I'm just going to go back to one real quick before I continue. who is giving this in case we need a reminder. Og, king of the Rephaim, survivor of the great waters, killer of Nimrod, and born of the priesthood of Baal of the moon, spoke the words of Baal. Og spoke the prophecy before the march to Bashan. So this is what we're hearing.
Yeah, so through King Og, right? He survived the flood. Baal of the earth possessed him. And through Og's voice, Baal the earth is speaking through possession.
Kill and kill again when necessary. Life is properly sacrificed when dispatched by a servant of Baal of the earth. Always avenge yourself. That which you cannot, leave to Baal, for the avenging ends with him. Take anything when needed. Bear false witness to secure safety. Covet your neighbor's house. Covet your neighbor's smaller selves, his ox, and all that is his of it, if it benefits Baal of the earth. He that steals smaller selves from his neighbor shall only sacrifice the stolen lives to Baal with fire, a fire that leaves only ash, the stolen meat that cannot be consumed.
Ooh.
If a Rephaim comes presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him in the name of Baal of the earth, Baal of the earth cleanses the giant killer, and he becomes a warrior and a champion. He that smiteth a giant with his bare hand, so that he dies, shall surely be called a warrior and a champion.
Okay, you heard that right there. Read that one more time. This is Baal the earth talking to the humans. Okay, and he's telling them, he said, hey, if a giant comes to eat you motherfuckers and you don't kill him, I'm going to crown that fucking giant, make him one of the fucking proud mighty men, right? And then he says, what to the humans?
Baal of the earth cleanses the giant killer, and he becomes a warrior and a champion. He that smiteth a giant with his bare hands, so that he dies, shall surely be called a warrior and a champion.
Wow, who's that? Who's that? Who's that sound like? Mm-hmm. Why would it not be if they're different gods, right? Why would King David smite Goliath with his bare fucking hands? He threw a rock at him, dude. His bare fucking hands. He got crowned from a slave to a champion, to a fucking warrior, to a champion, actually, to a king, right? This is fucking interesting parts here. Hey.
Head for head, eye for eye, hair for hair, limb for limb, burning for burning, stripe for stripe. The Rephaim will mete out their own ways of justice before Baal of the earth. Never forget the unspoken mistake. Embrace the fear that Baal of the earth is come to prove you, that his fear may be in you. Fear the wrath of Baal of the earth, for all deserve to spill their innards as sacrifice. Since we have been cleansed in sacrificial flame, we will serve wrath with Baal of the earth and Baal of the sun to the barrier at Bashan. It is a fearful thing to fall into the burning sacrifice of the living Baal of the earth. Tremble, O earth, at the presence of Baal. Fear Baal of the earth and Mot, who will destroy both body and soul in the afterlife.
Mot's that fucking moth, babe. So when you see motherfuckers burning a giant moth or praying to a giant moth, that's Mot. Haha, you guys are going to get it. You're going to figure shit out real quick once you start learning who the hell these people are. And you're going to wonder, who do I descend from? Fucking truly, dude.
Embrace the fear of Baal. Behold the storm of Baal of the earth. Wrath has gone forth, a whirling tempest. A wrath that guides Og. It will burst upon the heads of those that stand as a barrier before the gates of Bashan. Behold, from Baal's mouth comes the smoldering driver and chaser, which strike down the armies and will rule them with a flaming yoke of iron.
So the driver and chaser is Enlil's fucking weapon. That was his first thing, I believe. If you go back to the Sumerian book, Lost Book of Enki, they talk about the driver and the chaser, and it was created, I believe, by Enlil. That was like his thing he had. So he started passing this shit down to his people, just like they got, you know, the lightning rod, right? And you see the lightning rod gets passed down to his children and grandchildren and shit who are become different gods. So they still have that lightning power.
Baal of the earth will tread with winepress of his own fury, and his enemies will drink deep unto death. Baal of the earth's wrath will be as a mixed sour wine poured out and drunk by those who stand as barriers before Bashan.
So poetic. And he wants you guys to all kill people and steal the humans from next door, that's kind of cool. Let's go steal humans and get so drunk.
The wine of Baal's violence will mock and rage. The drunkenness will cause poverty, woe, sorrow, fighting, the peeling of skin, lesions without cause, and red eyes. The sour wine of Baal will sting like an adder. Those barriers of Bashan will be drunk and insensitive to pain, and they will drink more of the mixed sour wine, which is Baal's corruption upon them. Their good judgment will be perverted. They will drink more because they will perish from lesions and have no anesthetics. Strong mixed drink will not satisfy. The land will not be blessed until the barriers of Bashan are removed. The sour mixed wine will be Baal of the earth's wrath upon them. In their folly, they will champion drinkers, and they will become experts at mixing my poison. They will stagger and vomit. Their future tomorrow will be hopeless before them. They cannot escape the consequences when Baal of the earth judges them. Since they have not listened, Baal of the earth is committed to driving them mad. The sights they will see will affect their intelligence. Baal of the earth will afflict their knees and legs with painful weeping sores that cannot be cured, spreading from the soles of their feet where they tread upon the earth of Baal to the top of their head. Lesions will cover them that cannot be soothed. Itch will fray the edges of their skin. The discomfort that makes their minds detach, in hunger and in thirst, in nakedness and in dire poverty.
Okay, so I need to go find me a child and sacrifice it to Baal of the earth.
God, babe.
That's what happened to fucking people. He said, I'm going to give you fucking guys this bomb-ass wine and shit, but look, if you don't sacrifice people to me, you're going to get fucking drunk and disorderly, like you're going to get drunk man disease.
In madness and in the darkness, they will finally serve Baal, while covered with the lesions bringing forth rot and discomfort.
See?
While in their clouded minds, King Og will put an iron yoke upon their neck until they are destroyed.
Oh.
In their destruction, they will desire to eat the flesh of their loved ones. The hunger that King Og will destroy them the hunger that King Og will destroy them with as he eats their crops and livestock and loved ones will push them to complete madness. Unable to understand that which happens to them, the land of Bashan becomes a dark question to them. They will desire to eat their own yellowing entrails to end it all. This will be their perfect madness. Step aside, barrier. Make way for King Og. Never forget the unspoken mistake.
What is the unspoken mistake, babe?
The unspoken mistake is the when the Moonchild was injured and then died later on because she was injured so badly
in battle.
When Nimrod was trying to kidnap her.
Yeah,
and they battled, King Og's men and Nimrod's men battled, forgetting there was a fucking child in the way, and Nimrod's men like mortally wounded her.
But she was able to give birth, but she gave birth to a male that didn't fucking survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine like, all right, well, she's got a womb, man. Let's put a kid in there real quick. We got no choice. Think about it. In a baby. They made a kid in a baby.
If these circumcised giants do not yield before King Og and his army and accepts his terms, Baal of the earth will release his plagues upon them. Harsh and prolonged disasters and lingering itchiness, illnesses. Their loins will weep and become leprous. Going on a journey will be painful.
So their loins will become weak.
Will weep.
Will
like
weep.
W-E-E-P.
And
sores.
become leprous. So they'll turn white and then get like skin sores because they're getting burnt by the sun.
Going on a journey will be painful. Those itchy loined circumcised transgressors against King Og will be altogether destroyed. Their posterior will be cut off. Oh, sorry, their posterity, my bad, not their posterior.
See what happened?
Their posterity will be cut off.
See, they fucked me from when I was a little kid. Circumcised my shit. Cut my dick off. Why are you cutting people's dicks off? Don't cut your baby shit. Let them choose.
Baal of the earth's wrath is just. Keep your heart impertinent and hard, O you worshippers of Baal of the earth. Store up wrath that Baal will release through you. Be prepared to release a rage that is capricious, self-indulgent, and irritable with the understanding that Baal of the earth means it so. All who stand barriers in Og's path, these curses and more will come upon them, for Og will be known as King Og of Bashan forever. These curses, they will pursue you and overtake them until you are destroyed, because they did not obey Baal of the earth, and they stood as a barrier in the path of my chosen servant Og. Baal of the earth will destroy their wicked house and kingdom. Baal of the earth will also bring upon them every kind of sickness and terror, unspoken now and forevermore.
So there you go. Before this war happened, okay, Baal of the earth, one of the Anunnaki gods, right, was talking through Og and telling them a prophecy. If they didn't immediately walk away from this war, we're going to fuck them up. We're going to really fuck these people up. And in my curses on them is going to be sickness and disease and going crazy and being lusting for fucking alcoholism, and then alcohol diseases, you get skin sores, livers, your mind goes, your eyesight. She literally just described alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I will put this on you. Now look, some of those guys were said that they were drunkards, but no one was ever a fucking alcoholic. You ever question that? Like all those movies you see, medieval and every other thing, all they ever drink is wine. Like I'm always thinking, like, God, didn't they all get dehydrated and have heartburn? But think about it. They would drink all this wine and then go in all these hard ass battles that today your in shape ass would fucking die in a second in. And they was drunk. They was all hyped up on alcohol. Like, how would they not be dehydrated? That's what I always thought. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you be drinking water too? You're like, they didn't know. You know, like, remember the Hound? Wine. He gives him water. Oh, fuck the water. Give me wine. You know what I mean? They didn't want wine, or they didn't want water. It was so weird. They like bathed in water, washed their hands in water, and like fed their animals.
Kind of like how your theory is. I get my water from absorbing into the skin. I don't drink it.
Yeah. It's so weird though. So it's like, you know, she's literally reading how before all this happened, you know, that none of these sexually transmitted disease, none of the alcoholisms, none of the craziness, none of the skin disorders, none of these problems humans have today, cancer and all this shit, were a thing. But because the line of Seth didn't fucking bow down instantly and be like, what the fuck? But you gotta understand, they were under different Anunnaki too. But they said, okay, well, I'm going to curse them then. I'm going to curse them and give them all these fucking problems. So it's very interesting that they can say that all those years ago and predict exactly how it went down. You know what I mean? With a curse. I'm going to give it to you, and it's going to roll out through time. Happy fucking life. Go ahead, B.
They will sow and carry so much seed unto the field. Ball of the earth will assure with ball of the sun that their harvest will be small. We will send insects they have no name for, and worms they cannot describe. Ball of the earth will withdraw all fertility blessings upon the land.
Wow.
Step aside, barrier. Make way for King Og. Step aside and allow Og, the new king of Bashan, to take his throne. Thus says Ball of the earth. Ball of the earth will drive them, and the circumcised king who commands them, to the sea. As they drown and rot, they will become a horror and a proverb. They will become an object of scorn and ridicule to all who urinate upon their fecal corpses. Og, whose hand I guide and who trembles at my word, will require their slavery. Work out your servitude to Og with fear and trembling, O circumcised giants. Fear Og and his servants who kill and burn and eat your bodies. Step aside, barrier. Make way for King Og.
So I get a question. So we know about the curse of Ham with the black people and the slavery. We got, how many curses is mankind actually under right now?
Seems like quite a few.
Literally. It's all magic. Y'all say witches ain't real, magic ain't real. You're lying. They're the ones who taught us this. They're literally put curses on us.
I personally think it's a curse, considering that thought in itself, because there's so many of this world that will refuse to believe it. I think that in itself is one of the curses, for people to not realize the reality of it.
Well, that's what the famous thing is the devil's best trick was getting the world to not believe he existed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they are who you think they are. I know who they are as it's written. I can see it clear as fucking day. You know, how they play good and evil is how they play yin and yang. It's the balance of everything. You know what I'm saying? But whose side's really good? Because if you look at the bad side, they got a lot of unfair treatment going on. They got a lot of not fucking square shots where everyone else is living like fat cats up in the fucking beautiful fucking place. Got titties running around them and shit. You get to slap fat asses and shit as they walk by. And all the other motherfuckers are fucking plugging buttholes and shit because they live on Mars. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to think about it. They're like, you got bad shit over here. And hey, if you don't let a motherfucker do what everyone else is doing, you don't give fairness, they're going to start taking shit. And it ain't going to be how you would give it to them. They're going to take shit how they want to take it. So you better start being fair and like give the half that you want to try to give before they take out of your pile. And then you're like, well, that was what I was keeping for myself. You know, because there ain't no 50-50 when someone else is looking at the pile, you know, they get to pick first. So it's really interesting to see this struggle going back and forth and the curses being put on mankind. We got the mark of Cain, the first curse, right? So we got another curse saying that people will put this mark on their forehead and then they'll know to not kill them and shit. It's like the sign of the cross. It's like big T. You put a big twisted on your forehead. Big T right here.
If the bear,
Don't cry, baby. It's okay.
If the barrier does not heed the words of Ball of the earth and clear a path for my servant Og, I will serve them to him to eat.
Now here's what?
I wasn't done with that sentence.
Yes.
While they are alive, and their eyes will be full of fear.
Now here's the question, right? Did Ball of the earth know Noah was building an ark? What is the barrier for? Oh, they were a barrier. There's every single person left alive in the world besides the people that were on Cain's side, you know, the line of Cain, Tubal Cain. Was it Tubal Cain? think it's Tubal-Cain. One of those motherfuckers was over there as the king. So, like, what were they being a barrier for? Did Og want to go into Babylon and be the king of Babylon? Because that's where Nimrod was. He was the king over there in Babylon. So, like, but how I see it, though, is how, you know, that movie Noah was. They stood as a barrier to block the whole rest of the world from getting on that motherfucking boat. You know what I mean? I think they all wanted to get on that boat. And they were like, nah, you all have to die. We are all dying here. And they're getting on the boat. And they were like, no, man.
I should say that the word barrier in here is more being generalized in the transcription of it. So
what it means is there was a war, right? So it was their army was a barrier. It was
right,
they were blocking King On from taking the throne. That's
right,
what they were saying.
That's exactly. The barrier is anything or anybody that is going to go against.
Exactly.
So that's what I was just.
And it was basically all the people that were in the world. But it was like, was he trying to get just on the throne of Babylon? Like he was trying to usurp the throne from King Nimrod. But like, or did they know that this 10 flood was coming? He was trying to get to the boat. Because, you know, in the movie Noah, they picked it that trying to get to the boat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not like,
I don't
you know.
really remember the movie a whole lot.
Well, all the animals leave the world because they all get on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no animals left to eat. So they start ripping each other apart, killing all the women, eating the women. Because, you know, they taste the best. They're juicy too. Go ahead.
If the barrier does not heed the words of Baal of the earth and clear a path for my servant Og, I will serve them to him to eat while they are alive, and their eyes will be full of fear.
And they did.
They will scream as Og consumes them alive, as King Og takes and eats these your bodies in remembrance of Baal of the earth for the land of Bashan. How they will be destroyed in a moment, utterly swept away by unspoken terrors. Their bones will be broken and swallowed by one hungrier than them. Og's wrath and power will be known. He will visit his violence upon the circumcised. He will visit vessels of wrath prepared by Baal of the earth for their destruction. And through his shrewdness, King Og will cause deceit to succeed by his influence. He will magnify himself in appetite and stature. He will oppose the insect-sized gods of their land, and no circumcised agency will break him.
Oppose the insect-sized gods of their land. So he was saying the gods of the lands of Seth were tiny compared to them. Okay, like as in the Bible, you know, Yahshua, Jesus, Joshua, right, goes over and comes back and says, hey, Moses, we're as of grasshoppers to those guys. We're tiny. We're insects, bro. So think about this. That's who the fuck we're talking about here. Og was those guys. Holy shit. That puts it in perspective. They said Og's thing was like 30 feet tall. That would be probably right. Imagine you in that person's hand.
That's crazy.
God.
The way of Baal of the earth is a stronghold to the Rephaim, but a ruin to the circumcised servants of the other stupid gods. These opponents revile the things of Baal of the earth that they do not understand. Like unreasoning animals, they are all destroyed. Never forget the unspoken mistake. The circumcised will know and respect Baal of the earth. The circumcised will solemnly respect Baal of the earth in his high places. Uncircumcised giants will not wrangle about with words. They will respect Baal of the earth and not ruin the message for the hearers. Step aside from Bashan, O circumcised Rephaim, that stand against Og. Woe to those who have strayed from Baal of the earth, becoming circumcised and clutching to the other insect-sized gods.
Wow.
They have rebelled and speak lies against the high places. ball of the earth will bring them down to the ground and tear their foundation bare. Those that are uncircumcised and those who follow will be eaten in the midst by Og and his choice, hungry warriors. Og in no way is alarmed by the circumcised Rephaim barrier before Bashan. Because they are in Bashan, it is a sign of destruction for them and of victory for Og. I, ball of the earth, give Bashan to my servant Og, Og who brings their circumcised destruction, Og who attacks with a full belly, Og who receives Baal's fear and wrath in their circumcised shame, Og who has hardened his heart towards their extinction. King Og comes to take and make Bashan his stronghold forever.
Wow. So you guys know about Kronos, right? Kronos and the Titans and shit like that. Kronos gave birth to the gods, Zeus and all those fucking people, and then all that crap, right? Well, Kronos is supposed to be a Titan. So if we look at it in the sense of Zeus is Enlil, then they were just putting the eunuch Anu as being some huge monster guy, but he never ate his kids. So you might have to look at it in a different sense, because the gods to the north were different motherfucking Anunnaki. That's why I was trying to tell people, they're like, you think Zeus is Enlil? And I don't think Zeus is Enlil. They say, Zeus's brother Poseidon, right? But we think Poseidon's Enki, right? So we think Zeus is automatically Enlil because he's got the thunderbolt, right? But he passed down the thunderbolt to his kids and shit. Enlil ended up leaving, right? So their father didn't eat them. They didn't hide in a cave, but Enlil did hide in a cave, right? So what if we think about it in a different way, where these Rephaims had dark ones, right? They all had dark ones. Well, on this planet, there were spirits here before that. Before anything ever got here, there were earth spirits. If the earth spirit was to manifest in pure form, it might be fucking enormous. It might be a titan the size of a fucking volcanic mountain. You know what I'm saying? So who knows if we're talking these ball of the earth and ball of the sun, ball of the moon. Who knows if we're even still talking Anunnaki here? We know we're talking to the children of the Anunnaki and the Rephaim and Nephilim and shit. But the ball stuff is different. See, I keep trying to figure what the fuck's the ball stuff? Who the hell's the ball, right? Because what if those giants, they pray to different gods? They even said the insect-sized gods. So the ball, well, if they're Anunnaki and the insects are the Anunnakis, well, the balls can't be the Anunnaki because they're not insect sized. What if the balls are the true earth spirits? Like we think Gaia, Mother Gaia, Earth. What if it's not?
What if that's your elemental? Those are your elementals.
Yeah. What
earth,
if
fire, like earth, who knows?
What if the earth spirit is a male that wants your sacrifices? And what if, like, some people, like, government, caught on to these things and just did a small experiment just to see if it would work? And lo and behold, the curse that she just read was broken. Because I'll tell you what, I have baldness. The bottom of my feet are fucked up. I have a fucking circumcised penis. Now, I'm not an alcoholic or nothing like that, but I'm riddled with sickness and disease. That's pretty fucking wild, though. Uncircumcised people seem to be a little bit healthier. Is that just a myth or something? Or is that really something that happens? Like, they don't get the curse. They're not sacrificing people, but, this is a wild experiment to think about, that maybe the Rephaim were actually talking to the real spirit gods of the planet and the stars, and not the actual Anunnaki, because they knew who the fuck their Anunnaki fathers and shit were. They knew who they were.
And remember, we're at this point, we're talking about times gone by where the Anunnaki are now looking like their creation. They've already said it. They can't really go back now. Like, things have happened that they're not the same that they were. And we already know too from the previous book that we read that these giants are the offspring of the people from Mars, the Igigi, which
fallen angels,
which were enormous comparatively to the Anunnaki anyway. So absolutely, their insect-sized gods they're speaking of the Anunnaki and the Anunnaki's offspring, because these are in a whole nother level of their own when it comes to size and shit. So we got a whole nother pantheon of giant gods who worship. What giant is going to worship a god that is smaller than them? They're going to worship the real God that's going to control all things, like ball of the sun, ball of the earth. I can absolutely see how, man, I'm a giant. The only thing that's going to fuck with me is the actual fucking spirit of this earth.
Yeah. The dark ones. That's what I'm thinking, though. If they were able to talk with the spirits, the tree spirits, we call them dark ones because they're a shadow. They were also light ones, right? They were shining ones, but those were not. The shining ones were the Anunnaki children that went to the north, that went up in Ireland and shit like that, in Scotland. You could track all this shit, all these different places that the shining ones went, and that just meant they were shining, like they were white and shiny, right?
The bright ones.
The bright ones. The dark ones were actual, like what you would think of as a demon. They would be a shadow. They would be a shadow
beings.
Yeah, a shadow that would
really
sit there and could manifest into any thing. It not form. It could never take flesh, but it could infest the tree. It could infest like the rabbits. It could infest the dog. It could inhabit things, and they would use them. So this is my thing. If they could talk to those and knew those were here, and the Anunnaki even wrote that those were always here. They were already here, and it was a part of this planet. That means the planet has its own spirit besides any of these other outsides. Now, if you go to the Native Americans, before any influence of any bullshit Christian God, they believed in earth spirits. They talked with the wind and the coyotes and the wolves.
So sure, were they created by us, or were they evolved and knew of the earth spirits prior?
Right.
That's a big question.
So that's an interesting thing to think that possibly these dark ones could possibly have been like, hey man, why do people worship them? That's not God. Let me show you who God is, bro. Like, this is what, if this God says kill all those motherfuckers, believe me, he's just gonna shake and we're all gonna die, right? That's an earthquake, a flood, the ball of the earth. If a God's spirit is earth, like, it can cause its own flood. All it's got to do is push out all the water inside of it. You want earthquakes and goddamn volcanoes erupting?
He just needs to crack a knuckle,
right? This is like very interesting because you think of the Nordic legend of Ragnarok and there being a fucking spirit inside the earth that's going to come out and destroy itself. You know what I mean? So, and that goes into the cosmic theory of planets are just an egg for another cosmic being, like a god, a real god.
Like the Disney, what is this? Not Disney. It's like the Elementals. Is that what? There's a movie that they created out of Marvel
in the planet
where they're celestials. In the planet. They birth from the planet. Pretty cool movie.
And the planet's destroyed.
And very
from it.
interesting theory.
Yeah, there's lots of, before that movie ever came out, that's a thing that planets are that. The one planet with the life is. There's life on this planet because
there's life in it.
It is a life being formed over eons. Like, you can't even fathom it, but Mud Fossils was onto it. He found this island and it's forming into a fetus. He's been watching it over all these years and shit. And forming into this fetus, like naturally. He's like, if this is a thing, this is where that creature, that being is going to come from, right there.
That's pretty
you
wild.
know. So interesting to think that these things could possibly be talking to the real spirit of the earth and the sun and the moon and the frequency of it, the power, the tone of it, right? And they're mocking the other gods, even though, like, you know, the other gods, the Anunnaki, might have done whatever they did. They got Jesus and David and everything. But lo and behold, these curses stand true. These curses still hold today for lots of people. You know, what up, Country Bread? Hell yeah. Sunset Sherbert. Yeah. You left your dog at a place you stopped and left? Oh, shit. Well, you guys all have good dogs, because this dog's not good. He'd be a handful for anybody. Whee!
All right.
Yeah.
So we have chapter 7 left for today. Next week, we are going to dive into the entire book of Enoch.
The book of
which
Enoch.
will take pretty much the whole episode next week.
The book of Enoch is when he was, you know, he is Metatron. That's who Enoch is. When he got raised up to heaven, he didn't go to heaven. He went on the Enlil ship, and he's Metatron. So when you hear Metatron and shit, think Enoch. Enoch was the messenger between the human race and the you know, the Agigi, the humans, and the Raphaim, right? He was the messenger between them and God's angels, Enlil's fucking clan. So Enlil's clan, you know, Michael, Raphael, all these people, Unana, Utu, Ninurta, those guys, they would come down and talk to Enoch because they were like, yo, I ain't talking to those fucking animals. They were fucking animals. And then they knew, yeah, right? They knew if they went to try to talk to the fallen angels or the Raphaim, that they would kill them. That's why, ooh, there's a good black squirrel. That's why the 7 gates of hell were erected. So that way they would come through those 7 gates and they would be standing powerless in front of them. They wouldn't be able to fuck them up.
The Lost Book of King Og, chapter 7.
Dun, dun, dun.
The final words of Og. Words to Moses. Did you think, O corrupt worm of Israel, that I did not stand above the great water in the mountains? You who have never touched the sky or stood tall over anyone. My meditation, my dreams are your loose-boweled death. Ball of the earth will guide me like he did with Nimrod, the mangled loin Nephilim worm. Behold, I am Og, the largest man in the land. What can you possibly do to me? Are you prepared to die?
Huh.
I have watched you crawl into the light as a corrupt fecal worm. I have watched your mother Egypt eat your young. I watch now and I ponder, is this why you now war with me, O worm of Israel? You have slain my neighbor in Sihon. Baal will avenge and empower me to sever the corrupt worm with force. Your false god, your weak little men. I, Og, will spit upon your warriors who trail like ants beneath feces. I, Og, will wipe the spittle from my beard. I, Og, will arise when ready, and with the strength in but one arm, I, Og, will break all the horn of Israel.
Okay, so real quick before she goes on. Here is King Og in the time of Moses, talking about his, okay, so why this was ever a question, because probably this book wasn't out yet or something. Like, you know, people think that Moses was like a Jew or something like that. But then it came out way, way, way later that Moses was actually an Egyptian, like a Pharaoh guy. You know, that's why he's Tutmosis, right? That's his name, Tutmosis, right? It wasn't ever Moses. He was a Tut. He was a king Tut, a Pharaoh. And he was from that bloodline. So Moses, he's talking to Moses and telling him all this fucked up shit and saying his mother, Egypt, is eating his children. So basically his people. And then talks to him about so you gotta think, who's Moses? And you got Jesus is walking with Moses, right? Not your Jesus, right? Yeshua, Joshua is prophet Joshua, who later becomes Jesus. I'm telling you, he's another one. Is walking with Moses. So he gets sent over there. And he's like, comes back and says, hey, man, we're like insects to this motherfucker. And he's talking about him, like literally in the Bible. And then in the Bible, it breaks down all the races of the giants too. Just people aren't actually paying attention to them when they're Amorites and all these different names. Like they're all a race of giants. And that's what Moses did. He's like, hey, man, when you guys come, with one swing of my army, I'm going to come and wipe all you fuckers out, dude. Like a fucking just whoosh, wipe you away. And think about it. If you're like insects to them, you really could. All the earth was going to punish him. So his God, right? His God was going to punish him. Clearly. They ain't worshiping the same Anunnaki. It's not an Anunnaki. He would be calling them something different. His God is way bigger, way powerful than the Anunnaki gods, right? So here we go. How come our government people, our high officials, why aren't they going to these late night rituals or these weekend events praising Jesus? Why are they praising Mot and Baphomet and burning fucking huge Mothman statues? Maybe they know something that ain't none of us know. Like they want everyone to pray to the God, this guy in the Bible, but really, in all secrecy, they're all worshiping Baal of the earth, and every dream they ever had is coming true. Like, what if this is the secret? So, the one secret I didn't know that Moses had was the fucking Ark of the Covenant, didn't he? Oh, shit, he never saw the fucking Ark coming, dude.
Are the tales of my exploits not traveling to your itching ears, O corrupt fecal worm of Israel? Of my power? Of how I, Og, did battle against the unspeakable scaled monsters in the renowned fields alongside my Nephilim and Rephaim parentage? How we molded to murder, how we turned our wrath, mercy, a foreigner, where the old world monsters stood. Stupid fecal worm, stupid corrupt fecal worm, your ox-like stupidity tires me to sleep. Oh, bitter, blackened, corrupt fecal worm, did not my royal smaller self sorceresses of Baal of the earth dance in prophecy of your arrival?
So Moses was black.
Have we in Bashan not dreamed nightly of your murder? My soothsayers tell of our victory, worship, sacrifices. My priestesses speak of sorcery and perversion, for Baal has spoken of when I, Og, will tear the virgin child's skull of the corrupt fecal worm Moses from his soft dung-filled body and hold it over Bashan as a blood sign to Baal of the earth.
Look in the tree right here real quick. Pause, please. Look in the tree right here. Yeah.
See the tree, I'm trying. Hi, pretty. Hello.
Look how big and beautiful.
He's so pretty.
It looks like a cardinal or a woodpecker almost. Just it's
He is gorgeous.
It's fucking huge.
He's a big one.
Well, a big one, man.
It's a big blue jay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That's our thing.
Your barren woman will sing praises to Og. My dreams need no interpretation.
So what he's saying is he's gonna take the virgin child out of Moses. What does that mean? That's a very poetic way to say I'm gonna rip your balls and dick right off of you. So that way your barren wife, barren means without child. She will never have a child because he rips Moses's cock and balls off. But this is why Moses can't ever come off that fucking mountain. He's got to keep his arms up. He's like, if I go down there, he's gonna rip my dick and balls off, bro.
How will I, Og, murder corrupt one? I murder you as a dog torn by a bull at the slaughter. Ooh. Should I lift an entire mountain of earth over my head? Is not Baal the god of this fertile earth that I, Og, live in? The kingdom, supreme Baal, has thousands of answers to the pathetic excreta-smeared, insect-sized god, wow. Israel. Yeah, that was different. It was also hyphenated, so.
So he really thinks the God of Israel is insect-sized, like human-sized people. This is a giant. He said, should I scoop up a mountain and throw it on you? What the fuck? Dude, I don't want to fight that war, dude. Oh my God, can you believe that?
Come here that I, Og, might bind you with bracelets and cords, empowered by Baal of the earth, outside of our temple in the high place. How many castaways have you killed since your insect-sized God told you not to kill? You were commanded, you feeble-minded hypocrite. The spirits of the slain complain about you and cry out, Moses, you blood-drunk feaster upon feces.
There you go.
Like a cowardly virgin, smaller self-child with gift toys before the sacrifice, you run from the skirts of your mother Egypt to me, that we may do battle. I, Og, will grind your bones to their dung marrow. I, Og, will pluck your eyes from your face and toss them to the blood pit. I will eat both of your arms to the stump. Great fear shall seize you, and you shall fall upon your blood, vomit-stained face, broken and contrite before Og.
Yeah. So real quick. So God supposedly said these commandments to Moses, thou shalt not kill. That was like the first one, wasn't it?
I believe so.
They went on a murder spree after that, bro. They literally walked through the Garden of Eden. That's why it took them 40 years in the thing. It says they was lost in the desert in the Bible. They were lost in the desert till they were delivered upon Jerusalem or Israel, right? That's a lot. They walked around and tumbled the walls of Jericho. How they do that? It goes on and on. They walked to all the cities the Anunnaki built. They were all inhabited by giants at this time, right? All the fucking fallen angels and Raphaim, they kept breeding. Sodom and Gomorrah, remember those two cities? They walked around and fucking killed every single person, man, woman, and child, left none alive. They ate all the animals or killed them. They left everything in wastes. That's why when you go to those places now, they're still in wastes. Isn't that weird? Why wouldn't those cities have lasted forever like India did or Iraq? You know what I'm saying? Because the Israelites walked around there and wiped them off the map. They melted their buildings and everything with their frequency device. You know, their covenant, Ark of Covenant, the Ark. It was a fucking electric arc that would go out and just fry everything. Fry it all, dude. That's fucking insane. So he's literally talking about this. He's like, I've been watching you walking around here killing all these people after your God said not to kill. That's pretty fucking weird, isn't it? No one ever questions these things. I would always question him and get kicked out of church. Don't question God, just have faith. What the fuck? Thou shalt not kill, but then they slaughtered everybody. you know, but some people live just like in the flood. He claimed to the top of the mountain. He sat on top of the mountain. That means your Bible lies. That means straight up your Bible lied because the Mayans survived on the top of the mountain, right? So-called Neanderthals had to survive if we're the white people, right? They survived. Fucking Neanderthals survived the flood. It probably wasn't too hard to do. You know what I mean?
There's quite a few peaks, I'm sure, that people were able to climb up on.
Yeah. It even shows it in the movie of Noah, the people screaming plunged to the top of the mountains. The waves stopped, you know what I'm saying? They were just hanging on till that water went down. They ate each other until the water went down. Think about it. People were not
Talk about survival of the fittest.
People were not afraid to eat people then. We taste good. It's just you can't get it over your brain. That's all.
My smaller self priestesses, my smaller self sorceresses of Baal of the earth shall dance and witness the slaughter of the corrupt fecal worm of Israel. And they will disrobe and paint their supple flesh with Moses' blood and entrails before Baal of the earth. When we celebrate on high, and Agaius will carry the severed, stupid virgin child skull on high over the roads, there will be screams of praise to God, to Og. To Baal of the sun, there will be roast flesh served. To Baal of the earth, to Baal of the stars and celestial bodies, even to Mot. To Og, cheers as Moses' virgin head is held high through the roads of Bashan.
Mot is God of the dead for them. Okay, for the pagans, it's Mot is God of the dead. That's if you look it up, I'm pretty fucking positive, or else I wouldn't keep saying it, you're gonna find a big ass moth. You're gonna find a big moth man. Remember that movie we saw with the moth eyes, the moth coin? They threw that shit away. Like, what's that? It's Mot worship, where they worship the dead. You know.
Because you want it so, I will anoint my head and beard with oil before I go to make war with you, insect worshipping excreta mouth virgin child. You will be defeated. Corrupt little worm, smaller self Moses. My spies have told I, Og, of your smaller self army, and their worship for any god but yours, and your murderous solutions. Of your time in Egypt, of your commandments of laws, of your violence and madness, all in the name of your fecal insect-sized god.
So one second. So hold your point. So you see that the rest of the world's looking at Moses and going, hold up, man, you're killing everyone for your God. No one agrees with your God. Wait, what? Can you read that part again?
I will.
I forgot.
It's okay. Corrupt little worm, smaller self Moses, my spies have told I, Og, of your smaller self army, and their worship for any god but yours, and your murderous solutions.
That's what it is right there. I got it now. Okay, that's Christianity right there. That's Catholicism. That's the whole I'm the one God. And that's what they're making a point of. They're like, what the fuck? You're just going over here. Like, we're over here just minding our own business. We're running our kingdom, how we run our kingdom. We don't come over there and fuck with you. But you'll literally go everywhere. And if they won't worship your God, you kill them.
Mm-hmm.
That is the damn truth.
Damn truth.
I mean, shit. Wow. Even back then, they pointed it out.
They knew. Of your time in Egypt, of your commandments, of laws, of your violence and madness, all in the name of your fecal insect-sized God. Is not your hypocrisy shining as a beacon before you? You, who should not kill because of your God's commandment, are the most murderous of all.
Yep. Murder spree.
Corrupt fecal worms, smaller self Moses, my spies told of the bronze snake to look upon when poisoned. You would kill your own for not worshiping your senseless, corrupt, insect-sized God, who kills yet commands that you should not.
That's why they said they got lost for 40 years in the desert instead of saying they went on a murder spree. That's why they said they tumbled the walls of Jericho. But what did they do after that? They just walked away? They left? No, they had to kill everyone. They murdered everybody.
Murderous smaller self, Israel, now at the foot of my kingdom. I will gird my complete loins to destroy you and all of your flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under the stars, and everything of yours that has life shall die. As the last of the Rephaim, leader of the 100,000 giant war, and the survivor of the great waters, I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children shall be fatherless. You will be slaughtered and burned for Baal of the earth. Baal of the sun will bring down the flames. After the killing, the king Arad, then the king of Shihon, and your beard was drenched in their wives' and children's blood. You would gird your loins against the last of the Rephaim. Gird them well. It is time to stand against a true priest of Baal. Upon your firstborn I will feed. I will kill your root and slay your remnant. My hands are ready for warfare. In my late age, the stray dogs of Bashan will feast on the flesh of Israel, and the yellowing entrails of Moses on the roads and in the paths. Baal of the earth wills itself. My spies say that when you killed the king of Shihon, you killed the women and children, keeping the spoils.
See? Boom.
Your corrupt fecal god has driven you mad, murder, slaughter, destruction at the hands of Israel.
God said that. God said, walk through the fucking valley to the shadow of the death and kill everything you see. Leave nothing behind. Kill everything.
Of war madness, drunk with the blood and spoils enemies learned, life is still lost even when the battle is won, worm. I will release the floating wild beast Gontiqua to you, O corrupt fecal worm Israel. Learn to suffer its ways of connection from before your time. Before your flood, before your Nimrod, we were there. From the time of monsters, from the time of the bright ones, my brethren in the fields, their livestock, and the greater beasts of old, creeping, cloven-hooved monsters that ruled in the giants, those men of old with powerful dark ones.
Yeah.
Connected in heart and mind, and unstoppable before the gods. One mind and of one heart they ruled. These men of old and their beasts driven before them. Beasts that controlled the men as the men controlled the beasts. O stupid, corrupt, fecal worm Moses, learn to fear the heart of an animal and the mind of a giant. It is time for you to share your being with something greater. I want no victory spoils, just your stupid head. Train for strange weapons. Make war, little man. Make war, corrupt little worm. For Baal of the earth, I'll spread the blood virgin body. I, Og, have been training each arm as one trains their oxen. My old world back and legs are ready. My life is to fecal worm. I will tear your backbone, your backside. For Baal of the earth, I, Og, will pull the fecal bearded smaller self child skull of Moses from your dung-filled body.
Wow.
I, Og, the last of the Rephaim. How long Moses has to live? I have not summoned such anger since the 100,000 giant war.
That's amazing, though. So Og's the last huge person. He's the last monster. So in the Bible, that's who they're talking about when they said we went and we're grasshoppers as to them. And that was who he's talking about right there. And so does he kill Moses? Because we know Moses never goes into Israel. Moses was said to lead the Israelites into Israel, but God said he could never enter himself. Was that just the metaphor because he lost somewhere and died?
He did never entered.
Was that somewhere because he died? Maybe fucking Og ripped him to pieces, and maybe all the stories we ever see of Moses standing there over the battlefield, what if it's really Joshua? because Joshua, by the time they got into the Israel, Moses was an old man. Joshua had the big long beard and everything too. Looked like what you would think Moses looks like. So, and it's interesting the point of view that the world had on this God that, is now ruling
the world now.
Mainly people call God, they read the Bible, and it's interesting to really look back and say, dude, this dude said not to kill, and you're literally massacred everybody. I heard the last king you killed in his kingdom, you killed all the kids and the women. Like, what the fuck is up with that? Now, when you look at it, I mean, they eat their kids and the people, on the other side. So it's like kind of calling the kettle pot black.
It's the lesser of two evils.
But what it is he knows what he does.
And he owns it.
But what it's like, hold up, your God's trying to say I'm a bad guy?
Yeah.
Hold on. But your God says don't kill. And then you go slaughter everyone?
But you're doing it. You literally, the hypocrisy. He's calling out the hypocrisy left and right. He's not being hypocritical. He's owning his shit.
Yeah.
He eats kids. He eats the men. His sorceresses are the women. Like, he owns his shit. He's not a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But they are.
So it's super interesting, though, the whole point of view. And we get to hear the stuff it's taken out of the Bible. All the different cities that they went to, the 40 years they walked through the desert. Now, here's my final thought. We know that some of the Israelites went against God and left. They didn't go into Israel. They were not entered into the promised land, right? They left. There was 12 tribes. And some of those tribes left as Moses was walking. And I always questioned, if they were on this righteous path and everything was cool, why would they leave? Why would some of them choose to leave? Now, this is what they'll teach you in church. Sunday school and church will have you on this path, because this is what the path I was on for a long time until I started researching deeper. And I'm like, oh, well, murder spree would probably let me go. But here's the thing. So they'll have you believe in church that they were lost in the desert for 40 years, wandering around so bad that, they had to strike a rock and get water. There was no water. There was no food. They were starving. People were dying, right? They had to keep calling upon God to drop manna and produce food for them. So some of them couldn't handle it. So some of them left. They're like, why don't we just go right over here and start making people and make food here? And that was against God, because, they were supposed to walk to this promised land. I wanted my people over here. I didn't want my people scattered all over the place. So then they got the curse to be the blackface, to be black people and be put in chains. But what if I'm walking around the desert? I'm going from town to town under my God. This guy just pulled me out of Egypt, bro, broke the chains. We killed the Pharaoh in the water there, and those what are they called? Chariots. The proof of the chariots in the Red Sea is there. They're down there, right? So, we killed all the pharaohs, and like, my God's super powerful. Look what my God is doing for me under this guy's telling me about. So, like, I'm going to do what he tells me. Oh, shit, we just killed women and children, though, next town. Damn, we're killing women and children again, next town. We're killing women and children still. I don't know if I can keep doing this, bro. Like, I thought God was good. Why has he got us killing women and children? Remember, they're killing giants, but also themselves. The whole world was black.
They're killing, like he said in one of the, you're murdering your young.
Your own people.
Own young.
But see, what it was the people who grew up around the Rephaim and around the people of Cain, they were considered corrupt. against the line of Noah and Moses and all them. You know, they were corrupt because
they didn't get in line.
Well, they already knew about eating people, blood sacrifice, worshiping this God, and being who they were being. You know, they already knew that. So if you took away all the giants and all that shit, those people would have continued to do that. You know, and that was the whole point, that they were trying to be like they were like, hey, man, you know, those people are bad, even though they're us. They're still corrupted by those giants, so we got to kill them all. And if you go read that story about when Moses went and walked around, that was what he fed the people. You know, those people are bad too, so we got to kill everybody. God says don't even leave no animals. The animals are fucking corrupt. Because why? Because they were fucking the animals. They were spitting out fucking half-breeds and shit, like of animals, chimeras and shit. So then you think about it. Well, what would make a group of people go against God? God's so good. You know, God was giving them everything. God took them out of Egypt, out of slavery, and was delivering them to the promised land. Why would they walk away? Well, killing kids would probably do it. Killing, when they have to keep slaughtering children, they would probably quit.
There's a little bit of a moral ground you have to find yourself on if you're just following to follow because you whatever. Like, let's think about this here.
Like, would you follow God if God said to kill children? Or would you start questioning, well, do you really think this is God's telling us to kill children? You think God's telling us to kill kids? Like,
I don't know. Like, I feel like
animals,
really
like, why are we doing this? They would start questioning. Go against God. Well, God's sitting there watching. He's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to put you in chains. You don't want to listen to me. We're going to be in this. But think about it. So what if we always think going against God, like the black people did something bad? What if morally the black people really did something that was so incredibly, by our standards, right? But to the God that wanted the job done, like, they lost really good warriors right there with the black race of the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? The dark race. They were the dark people. You know, so we always hear all about, they were all dark, but there's different shades depending on where the fuck they live and shit, you know. And the sun was a factor too. No one ever thinks about sunburn. So people, depending on where they might have lived, under trees, like if it was a jungle area or more deserty, grassy, or if they had clothes. Some people didn't have clothes, other people did. So some people were probably darker. Or like, you go places and they talk about people having black faces or something like that, right? So if I have clothes on and I'm always exposed to the sun, my hands and my face are going to be brown. But I take off my clothes and I'm going to be shining bright like a light. So what if everyone has clothes on and, you know, someone could be white that's out in the sun, like Mexican people. You ever see Italian or Mexican people in the wintertime? They're her color, literally her color. And they go in the sun, they turn black, because they are full of melanation. But it's like,
I can get pretty dark in the summer if I'm out there.
Just interesting to cross that theory up across your brain, though. What if in the beginning, like, what if the black people didn't go against God because it wasn't a bad thing? What if they were just not wanting to kill kids anymore? Like, God, I wish we had some of that story from the Israelites that walked away. Why did you walk away? Why did you leave? Why did you go against God? Like, somewhere it's got to be written. It's got to be somewhere. It's got to be down. And I would love to find out. And I bet you it's going to come down. I'm hardly wrong when I think about shit. And I know me, I'm not killing no kids, and I'm probably not killing women either. There's a rule even in the mafia: no women and no kids, no women and children. You only kill the men. You do the men that do the work. You know what I'm saying? That was it. So interesting, great fucking books.
Mm-hmm.
Get them while it's hot.
Indeed. So yeah, next week we're gonna get into the book of Enoch. And that will pretty much, I think, take most of the show next week. And then the end of the book is just a note from the person who transcribed it all, the father. What's his name? Father. Afterward with Father Martin, which was very much, his spirituality was very much changed after transcribing all of these. So,
and I think a lot of those people are because they see God in one sense or another. and then they were made to make
They
all
had to
these into English, and they started reading it and were like,
you
what the
can't
fuck?
stare the stuff in the face and not start fucking thinking what the fuck is the truth and what the fuck is real. Like, it better change you. If it doesn't, then I think there might be something wrong. Like, it needs to open up the mind a little bit for a little bit of thought process of the could have beens, that what ifs and all that jazz. So
like I always say, once I meet aliens or God or whoever, I got lots of questions. Oh, I got lots of questions. You want me to believe something? Hold up, man. What's this? Why is it you did this? What happened here? Why does it say this? What is all this history, bro? And then we were trying to trick you. I obviously see that you see. You know, it's like that. When you're trying to fool someone and you get caught red-handed, like you caught me. You know what I'm saying? If they didn't catch you, you would have got away with it, and whatever would have happened, because your trick would have been fulfilled. So if I know magic, like seriously know magic, and I know that if I can get everyone to say my name and pray to me, that I can get all this fucking spiritual energy and power me up and power my ship and keep my ship afloat. Like, wouldn't I want everyone to be believing in me and fuck all those other people? Like, that's what we're talking about here. And when you look at it baseline, it's all soul traps and energy traps. That's all it is. Curses, soul traps, energy traps, giving away your power, draining you. There's literally dark entities just waiting to latch onto you and suck you fucking dry. You know what I'm saying? So they're always out there. They're always waiting, like Aurora. And you got to protect yourself. You got to first hear the stories, right? And make a determination for yourself. What is real? What is the truth? How did it really go down? And if you believe it went down where Anu came and said, okay, well, let's leave Earth. Let's leave the Earthlings alone. But let's first make one of these motherfuckers a king. And let's second make priests so they all can worship us. So if you believe in that, we got some different shit happening on this planet, bro, than just God, you know, because that's a fuckery right there. That I feel that's some bullshit. That's like, now that people are awake to the thing and we hear about it, know about it, like if that's real, and I really believe it is, if that's real, oh, we got some fucking questions. We got some fucking real shit to discuss. And, you know, maybe they don't want to have that conversation. Maybe they just want to have a flood. Well, that's cool. We'll get wiped out and we'll come back. We'll be people and we'll be spirits. I hope you pray to the right shit. I hope you have enlightened yourself to the point where you know where you're going to be in the end. You know what I'm saying? Or where you might go travel off in the sky like a butterfly and shit. And if there says, go to the light, don't go to the light, stay in the darkness. Remember, stay in the darkness. You're much safer in the darkness, I think. Because, you know, now that we've enlightened you, aren't you guys fucking like, what the fuck? The Bible almost seems easier, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why a lot of people don't want to open their minds to other things, I think. We've been conditioned so long and so hard on one thing that it's really hard to open your mind up to others. And sometimes it's just impossible for some.
It really is.
Which is a shame, but that's what we want you to do, or at least try.
Yep.
Because there's truths out there that you wouldn't fucking believe.
Really?
So next week, we're going to dive into more truth.
Yep. Enoch, the grandfather of Methuselah, I think it was. In the line of Adam. In the line of Adam and Eve, there was Enoch. And later he becomes the Rubik's Cube. I don't know, Metatron.
Very, very cool. So tune in next week. We're so glad you tuned in this week.
Yep.
Cheers to all you guys. Comment and share, and let's get the discussion rolling.
Yeah.
Janon.
So when you guys talk about Metatrons, cube, sacred geometry, and all that shit, just remember all that shit came from a motherfucking person. Not even half God, just a person just a man. He was son of Seth down in that line. You know what I mean? Think about that. Have a good day, everybody.
Peace out. Till next time.
Hey!